Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'll be reading a series of short stories to help you practice and improve your English listening skills. Listening carefully and repeating after me is one of the best ways to build fluency, pronunciation, and confidence in English. So relax, listen closely, and try to follow along. Now, let's start. The old train station. It was a quiet evening when Emma decided to take a walk through her town. She often liked to walk after dinner, enjoying the cool air and the sound of leaves moving in the wind. But that night, instead of walking toward the park, she turned down a street she rarely used. At the end of that street stood the old train station. The station had been closed for more than 20 years. The windows were broken, the paint on the walls had faded, and vines had crawled up the side of the building. Children in town sometimes dared each other to step inside, but most people stayed away. They said the place was haunted, though nobody could say why. Emma had always been curious about the train station. As she stood in front of the building, the sky turned darker, and a full moon rose behind the clouds. She pushed the rusty gate open, and the sound echoed in the empty air. Her footsteps crunched on the gravel as she walked to the entrance. The heavy wooden doors stood half open. Emma hesitated for a moment, then stepped inside. The air was cool and dusty. Old posters still hung on the walls, their colors faded. A broken clock sat above the ticket counter, its hands forever stuck at 9:47. Wooden benches, cracked and dusty, were scattered across the waiting room. Emma whispered to herself, "It feels like time stopped here." As she moved farther inside, she heard something, a faint sound. It was like the soft whistle of a train in the distance. She froze. No trains had passed through the station for decades. She shook her head. "I'm just imagining things," she thought. But then she heard it again, louder this time. The sound of a train coming closer, wheels grinding against tracks. Emma's heart raced. She walked quickly toward the platform. The platform stretched out under the moonlight. The rails were rusty, weeds growing between them. She looked down the tracks. At first, there was nothing. Then, in the distance, she saw a light. A bright white light moving slowly toward her. It was impossible. The tracks had been unused for years. And yet, the sound grew louder. The light grew brighter. Emma rubbed her eyes. But the train did not disappear. It was real, or at least it looked real. Within moments, an old steam train rolled into the station. Smoke poured from its chimney, and its wheels screeched as it came to a stop. The train looked shiny and new, as if it had just been built. Emma stepped back in shock. The doors of the train opened with a hiss. Warm golden light spilled from inside, and she could hear the voices of people talking and laughing. She looked around. The station was still broken and empty, but the train was alive with light and sound. A man in a dark blue uniform stepped out. He was tall, wearing a cap with a silver badge. He smiled kindly and said, "Good evening, miss. Are you traveling with us tonight?" Emma's voice trembled. "But this station is closed. How can there be a train here?" The man only smiled again. "Our train always arrives on time. Would you like to come aboard?" Emma felt torn. Part of her wanted to run away. Another part was deeply curious. She asked, "Where does this train go?" The conductor tipped his hat and said, "It takes you where you truly wish to be." His words made her pause. She thought about her life. She had always felt stuck in her small town, working at the same shop every day, following the same routine. She dreamed of adventure, of seeing the world, but she never had the courage. She asked quietly, "And if I step on this train, can I come back?" The conductor's smile faded just a little. The train does not return in the same way. Once you choose to board, your journey begins, and the old life is left behind. Emma's heart pounded. She looked at the golden light glowing inside the train. She could see figures, men, women, even children, sitting in comfortable seats, smiling, talking, as if they were on the trip of their lives. She closed her eyes for a moment. Did she want to leave everything behind? The engine hissed. The train was waiting, but not forever. Finally, Emma shook her head. No, not tonight. The conductor nodded slowly. As you wish, the train will always come for those who are ready. He stepped back inside. The doors closed with a soft thud. The whistle blew, long and loud. The train began to move, slowly at first, then faster. Its wheels clattered, its light grew smaller, and within minutes, it disappeared into the night. The platform was quiet again. The station stood broken and empty. The golden light was gone. Emma stood there for a long time, her heart still racing. She whispered to herself, "It was real. I know it was real." As she walked home, she thought about the conductor's words, "Where you truly wish to be." Maybe she wasn't ready yet, but she knew she couldn't live the same way anymore. She needed change, adventure, something more than the quiet routines of her life. The old train station had shown her a choice. Even if she had said no this time, she felt a spark of courage inside her. And perhaps, one day, when the train returned, she would be ready to say yes. The house on Willow Street. It was a warm summer afternoon when Daniel moved into his new apartment. He was 23, had just started his first job, and was excited to live on his own. The building was small but cozy, with red bricks and white windows. Across the street stood a large, abandoned house. Daniel noticed it immediately. The house was tall, with a pointed roof and broken shutters. The paint was peeling from the walls, and the garden was full of weeds. The fence around it leaned to one side as if ready to fall. Nobody had lived there for many years. When Daniel asked his landlord about it, the man only shrugged. "Old place," he said. "People say it's haunted, but I think it's just empty. Best to stay away." Daniel laughed. He didn't believe in ghosts. To him, the house was only an old building. That evening, after unpacking boxes, Daniel sat by his window. From there, he could see the house across the street. The moonlight made the broken glass in the windows glimmer faintly. He was about to close the curtains when he froze. A light flickered inside the old house. It was faint, like the glow of a candle. He leaned closer. The light moved from one window to another, as though someone were walking through the rooms. Daniel rubbed his eyes. "No way," he whispered. He grabbed his phone, but when he looked again, the light was gone. The windows were dark. The next night, Daniel told himself he wouldn't look at the house again, but curiosity was stronger than sleep. Around midnight, he found himself at the window once more. And again, the light appeared. This time, he noticed something more. A shadow passed in front of the window, tall and thin. It looked like a person holding a candle. Daniel's chest tightened. He whispered, "Someone's inside." The house was supposed to be empty. He thought about calling the police, but then he laughed nervously. What would he say? "Hello, officer, I saw a candlelight ghost in an old house?" No one would take him seriously. Still, he couldn't sleep that night. The following day, Daniel met his neighbor, a cheerful girl named Lily who lived in the same building. They talked for a while, and eventually, Daniel mentioned the house. "Oh, you saw it too," Lily said. Daniel's eyes widened. "You mean the light?" She nodded. "Yup, almost everyone in the building has seen it at least once. My brother says it's probably teenagers playing around, but sometimes the shadows don't look human." Daniel laughed nervously. "So no one ever checked?" Lily shook her head. "No one's brave enough. But if you really want to know, we could go there tonight." Daniel hesitated. His heart told him no, but his curiosity screamed yes. Finally, he agreed. That night, just before midnight, Daniel and Lily crossed the street. The air felt colder near the house, though the summer night was warm. The wooden gate creaked loudly when they pushed it open. They walked through the overgrown burden and reached the front door. It was slightly open. Daniel looked at Lily. She whispered, "Are you ready?" He nodded, although his knees felt weak. Inside, the house smelled of dust and mold. The wooden floor creaked under their weight. Moonlight slipped through broken windows, painting pale shapes on the walls. Old furniture stood covered in white sheets. A large staircase rose from the hallway, its banister broken in places. For a while, nothing happened. Just silence. Then Daniel saw it. A faint light at the top of the stairs. The light flickered, moving slowly as if carried by someone unseen. Lily gasped and grabbed Daniel's arm. "Did you see that?" she whispered. Daniel nodded, his throat dry. The light drifted down the hallway. Without thinking, Daniel whispered, "Let's follow." They climbed the stairs carefully. At the top, the hallway stretched long and dark, with several doors on each side. The light had stopped in front of one door. When they reached it, the door swung open with a loud creak. Inside, the room was nothing, just old wallpaper, a broken chair, and empty space. But the candlelight floated in the air, burning without anyone holding it. Lily gasped. Daniel's heart pounded. The flame flickered, and then words appeared on the wall, glowing faintly. "Help me." Suddenly, the temperature dropped. Their breath turned white in the air. A voice whispered softly, echoing through the room. "Trapped. So long. Help me." Daniel and Lily froze. The voice seemed to come from everywhere. Daniel finally managed to speak. "Who are you?" The voice trembled. "I lived here. Long ago. I cannot leave until the truth is known." The candle flickered again, and an image formed on the wall. A picture of a man, tall with dark eyes, wearing old-fashioned clothes. Lily whispered, "It's a ghost." The voice spoke once more. "My death was not an accident. Find the truth. Free me." Then the candlelight went out. The room was dark. Lily grabbed Daniel's hand. "We have to go, now." They ran down the stairs, their footsteps echoing like thunder. Behind them, the house groaned as if alive. Doors slammed shut on their own. The front door, thankfully, was still open. They burst outside, gasping for air. The garden seemed less heavy, the night less cold. Back in their building, they locked the door and sat in silence for a long time. Finally, Daniel whispered, "That was real. We both saw it." Lily nodded. "It wants us to help." Daniel stared at the window, across the street, to the dark, silent house. His life has just changed. Days passed, but Daniel couldn't forget the voice. He started reading about the house in old newspapers at the library. He learned that many years ago, A man had lived there with his family. One night, he had died in a fire that destroyed part of the house. People said it was an accident, but some reports hinted at something darker. The ghost wanted the truth revealed. One evening, Lily asked him, "Do you really want to keep digging into this?" Daniel nodded firmly. "Yes, that spirit won't rest until we know. And I can't pretend it never happened." He looked again at the broken house, its windows black and silent. Somewhere inside, a ghost was waiting. Daniel took a deep breath. "We're going back." The secret of the desert. The sun was setting over the wide desert. Golden sand stretched in every direction, glowing under the orange sky. Anna pulled her scarf tighter around her head as the hot wind brushed her face. She had been traveling for hours on the back of a jeep, and her throat was dry from dust. She wasn't just a tourist. Anna was an archaeologist, and she had come to Egypt to search for something hidden, something lost to time. Her grandfather had been an explorer, too. Before he died, he had given her a small leather notebook filled with sketches and strange symbols. On the last page, he had written a single sentence: "The city sleeps beneath the desert, waiting to be found." Anna had spent years studying his notes, and now she believed she was close. Her driver, Kareem, stopped the jeep at the base of a rocky hill. "This is as far as I go," he said. "The desert at night is dangerous." Anna nodded. She opened her bag and pulled out her grandfather's notebook. She compared the sketches to the rocks in front of her. The shapes matched perfectly. "Thank you, Kareem. I'll continue on foot." Kareem frowned. "Are you sure? The desert hides many secrets. Some are not meant to be found." Anna smiled. "That's exactly why I'm here." She climbed the hill alone. At the top, she saw the horizon stretching endlessly, the dunes rolling like waves of the sea. She looked again at the notebook. It spoke of an entrance carved into stone, a doorway hidden in plain sight. The sun sunk lower, shadows grew long, and then she saw it. At the base of the hill was a dark opening, almost invisible against the rocks. Her heart beat faster. She hurried down and brushed away the sand. The outline of a doorway appeared, carved with symbols matching her grandfather's notes. "This is it," she whispered. The entrance led into a narrow tunnel. The air inside was cool and heavy with dust. Anna switched on her flashlight. The beam lit up walls covered in carvings, figures of men and women, animals and stars. Her footsteps echoed softly as she moved deeper inside. The tunnel opened into a wide chamber. At its center stood a stone statue of a jackal-headed figure, Anubis, the ancient god of the dead. At the statue's feet lay a stone chest. Symbols glowed faintly on its surface, as if alive. Anna knelt down, her hands shaking with excitement. She traced the carvings with her fingers. They matched her grandfather's notes exactly. She whispered, "This is what he was searching for." But before she could open the chest, a sound echoed behind her. Anna spun around. A man stood in the shadows, holding a lantern. His face was partly hidden by a scarf, but his eyes glinted sharply. "You shouldn't be here," he said in a low voice. Anna tightened her grip on her flashlight. "Who are you?" He stepped closer. "My name is Hassan. I guard this place, and you, foreigner, are trespassing." Anna frowned. "Trespassing? This site has been forgotten for centuries. Hassan shook his head. Not forgotten. Protected. For generations, my family has watched over it. Many came before you, searching for treasure. None returned. Anna swallowed. I don't want treasure. I only want the truth. My grandfather searched for this place his whole life. I need to know why. Hassan studied her for a long moment. Finally, he lowered his lantern. The truth is dangerous, but if you are brave enough, follow me. Hassan led Anna deeper into the chamber. He pressed his hand against a carved wall, and a hidden door slid open with a low rumble. Beyond it lay a staircase leading underground. The air grew colder as they descended. The walls glowed faintly with symbols that lit up as they passed. Anna whispered, "Incredible." At the bottom of the stairs, they entered a massive hall. Stone pillars rose to the ceiling, carved with golden patterns. In the center of the hall was a circular pool of water, perfectly still, reflecting the glowing walls. Hassan spoke softly. This is the heart of the city. It is said the ancient kings built it as a doorway, not to another place, but to another time. Anna's eyes widened. Another time? Hassan nodded. The pool shows what has been and what will be, but only those chosen by fate can see clearly. Anna stepped closer to the water. The surface rippled gently as she leaned over. At first, she saw only her reflection. Then the water shimmered and images appeared. She saw her grandfather, young and strong, standing in the same hall. He touched the pool and smiled. But then the vision shifted. She saw him running, chased by shadows, until he vanished into darkness. Anna gasped. The image changed again. This time she saw herself, standing in front of the stone chest, opening it. A golden light burst out, blinding but beautiful. Then the vision ended. The water grew still again. Anna stepped back, her heart racing. I saw him, my grandfather, and then I saw myself. Hassan's voice was serious. The pool shows possibilities. What you saw may happen or may not. But if you open the chest, you will choose that path. Anna turned to the statue chamber. Then I have to open it. Back at the statue of Anubis, Anne knelt before the chest again. Her hands trembled as she pushed against the lid. To her surprise, it opened easily, as though it had been waiting for her. Inside lay a single object, a golden amulet shaped like an eye, glowing softly with inner light. Anna lifted it carefully. Warmth spread through her fingers, up her arm, and into her chest. She felt calm, powerful, as though the amulet recognized her. Hassan watched silently. It belongs to you now. Anna whispered, What is it? Hassan said, The Eye of Time, an artifact said to protect the one who carries it, guiding them to their destiny. Anna held it tightly. She thought of her grandfather's words. The city sleeps beneath the desert, waiting to be found. He hadn't just wanted discovery, he wanted the amulet protected. Now it was her turn. The night sky was full of stars when Anna finally stepped out of the desert passage. Hassan walked beside her, the lantern glowing faintly. At the jeep, Kareem was waiting anxiously. His eyes widened when he saw the amulet. You found it, he whispered. Anna nodded. Yes, But this is only the beginning. My grandfather's journey is now mine. Hassan bowed slightly. Guard it well. Others will come for it. But the I chose you. Anna looked out at the endless desert, the stars bright above. She felt the weight of the amulet in her hand, not heavy, but powerful. Her life would never be the same. And deep in her heart, she knew one thing. Her adventure had just begun. The phone that rang at midnight. James had always been a light sleeper. Even the smallest noise could wake him up in the middle of the night. But when the old phone in his apartment rang at exactly midnight, he almost jumped out of bed. It wasn't his mobile phone. This was the dusty landline phone that came with the apartment. He had never used it. In fact, he didn't even know it still worked. The ringing echoed through the small living room. James checked the clock on his bedside table. 12 a.m. Exactly. For a moment, he thought of ignoring it, but curiosity pushed him forward. He walked across the dark apartment and picked up the receiver. "Hello?" he said nervously. There was silence. Then, a faint voice whispered, "Don't stay there." James froze. "Who is this?" The line went dead. James had moved into the apartment only 2 weeks earlier. It was on the 3rd floor of an old brick building, the kind with narrow staircases and creaky wooden floors. The rent was cheap and the location was perfect for his new job. The landlord, Mr. Harris, was friendly but strange. When James first signed the lease, Mr. Harris warned him, "It's an old place. Sometimes the pipes groan at night. Sometimes the lights flicker. Don't worry about it." But Mr. Harris never mentioned the phone. James put the receiver back in place, his hand shaking slightly. He laughed nervously to himself. It was probably a prank call, he said. Nothing more. Still, he didn't sleep well that night. The next night, James stayed up late watching TV, trying to keep his mind off the strange call. At exactly midnight, the landline rang again. His chest tightened. He stared at the phone, debating whether to answer. Finally, he picked it up. "Hello?" The same faint voice whispered, "Get out, before it's too late." James's hands went cold. "Too late for what? Who are you?" But the line went dead again. The following morning, James asked Mr. Harris about the phone. "I didn't know it still worked," the landlord said, frowning. "No one's used that line in years." James pressed him. "Did the previous tenant leave a number connected to it?" Mr. Harris hesitated. "The previous tenant, she passed away. Heart attack." Poor woman. James blinked. "In this apartment?" Mr. Harris nodded quietly. "Yes, in the living room." James felt a chill. The same living room where the phone now rang at midnight. James considered unplugging the phone, but something inside him wanted to know more. He needed to understand what was happening. At midnight, the ringing returned. This time he answered quickly. "Who are you?" he demanded. The whisper came again, a little louder this time. "You're not safe there." James swallowed hard. "Why not?" The voice trembled. "The fire. It's coming again." Before he could respond, the line went dead. James stood in silence, the words echoing in his head. The fire. It's coming again. The next day, James visited the local library. He searched through old newspapers, looking for anything about his apartment building. Finally, he found it. An article dated 20 years ago. Fire destroys third-floor apartment. 1 dead. His heart pounded as he read. A fire had broken out in the very apartment he now rented. The victim was a young woman named Claire. The article said faulty wiring was to blame. James whispered, "Claire. Was she the voice on the phone?" That night, James turned off all the lights and sat by the phone, waiting. At midnight, the phone rang. He snatched it up. "Claire?" he asked softly. Silence. Then the whisper, "You found me." James's throat tightened. "Why are you calling me?" "I never left," the voice said. "The fire took me, but I remain here, and it will happen again, soon." James's skin prickled. "Another fire? How do you know?" The line crackled, then the whisper, "Check the wires." The call ended. The next morning, James inspected the apartment carefully. He noticed burn marks near an electrical outlet in the living room. The wires looked old and frayed. His heart raced. The ghost warning was real. He immediately called an electrician. The man arrived later that afternoon, took one look and said, "These wires are a fire hazard. Honestly, you're lucky nothing's happened yet. We need to replace everything." As the electrician worked, James felt both relief and fear. Relief that he caught it in time. Fear that Claire had been right. That night, James turned off all the lights and sat by the phone, waiting. At midnight, the phone rang one last time. James answered quickly. "Claire?" The whisper was softer now, almost peaceful. "Thank you." James swallowed hard. For what? "For listening." The line grew faint. "I can rest now." The phone clicked, and the line went dead forever. Days passed. The phone never rang again. James kept it on the table, half expecting the sound, but it remained silent. The apartment felt different too, lighter, calmer, as if a heavy weight had lifted. One evening, James lit a small candle and placed it by the phone. "Rest in peace, Claire," he whispered. From that night on, he slept soundly. No more whispers, no more warnings, just silence. But deep down, James would never forget the ghostly voice that saved his life.